Hey guys, and welcome to week 11. This week we are going to be diving into some really important information. Things that we will look at this week are really going to shape the trajectory of U.S. history from here on forward. Some of the things that we're going to be looking at this week, including issues of women's rights and temperance. These are what we call antebellum reform movements. These movements are not necessarily successful in their particular moment, but they will ultimately set sort of a cornerstone for events that will transpire in the 20th century, at the turn of the century. Other movements, such as abolitionism and education reform, among others, are things that are more successful, although with abolitionism we will see that in the 1830s and 40s they are not successful. It will require a civil war for those movements to be successful. But again, really significant stuff is happening this week. We're also going to be taking a look at industrial development and the rise of a market economy, where in the North you will really begin to see industrialization sort of take off with the rise of textile manufacturing, the construction of railroads, the construction of canals, and effectively the market economy being able to connect itself within the broader continental United States. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that all too often within U.S. history, we tend to think about the American economy as sort of being what we call in a binary. It's North and South. That the North was sort of industrialized while the South was agricultural and agrarian. And while this is true to a certain extent, we have to recognize that the North and the South very much were connected. And in fact, slavery was the backbone of the American capitalistic system. So for example, when we think about slavery, we tend to relegate it to the South. But the truth of the matter is that Northerners were very much economically benefiting from the institution of slavery. So for instance, Northern bankers were getting rich off of extending loans to Southern plantation owners, who would then use those loans to buy seed, who would use those loans to buy more slaves. Textile manufacturers would receive cotton from the South, which was grown and picked by slaves, and then they would turn it into a finished product. And of course, Northern merchants, the same thing. They're using that cotton to ship it off. So we don't want to think about the American economy as being sort of polarized or segmented. Although both tended to rely on sort of different types of labor, one slave South and one paid Northern, it was very much connected. Okay. All of that is something we're going to get into this week, but I just wanted to point that out. You do need to read chapter 12 in your textbook this week, and of course respond to the discussion board as posted by the dates posted there. The only other thing I would encourage you to do, if you've not yet done so, is to really begin working on that final project, that final paper that you have. I'm sorry, you don't actually have a final paper or final project, do you? I apologize for that. That is for a different course, and I apologize that I got that mixed up. What you guys are working on are your second PowerPoint assignments, and that'll be coming up towards the end of the semester. So again, discredit the final paper. You guys are going to have those second PowerPoint projects. So with that stated, one of the things you might want to think about doing is looking in your textbook and looking ahead and seeing, what types of topics you might want to look at. There's quite a bit. Now, and this week is one of those weeks where you could easily pick out a couple of topics and say, here's the way in which this helped to develop the United States in a number of different ways. So be thinking about that. And if you have any questions, please contact me and let me know. Otherwise, as always, go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you, live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a blessed week, guys.